Welcome to the Level Method Legion Chalk Talk podcast. This is your host, Scott, and today I have Judah Boulet with me. And Judah has quite the varied background. He has a master's in pharmacology and toxicology. From that, he taught in colleges for a few years and then did a 10-year stint as a science teacher in high school. He's also been a national level rugby referee, did that for 9 years, as well as he now coaches rugby. He bought into his first gym in 2009 after finding CrossFit in 2008, sold that, and opened No Risk CrossFit in Rhode Island in 2013. In 2017, he was able to step away from his teaching career and focus on the business full time. That is quite the background. How you doing, Judah?
That's good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. That's kind of what it would sound like if I were reading mine.
Yeah, it's like, it's a very, and that's the abbreviated version. I got a bunch of other little pit stops here and there in that journey, but it's kind of just trying to figure out what I was passionate about and what I wanted to do in my life.
Yeah, I totally get it. I've been on that path, and that's awesome. I love talking to people that have done a lot and have a lot of varied experience. I think it brings a lot to the table, especially on today's topic. So first of all, before we hop into today's topic, which is basically the importance of business coaching and professional development, which you may or may not know, I'm a huge fan of. So your gym is in Rhode Island. Is it in Providence? It's the only Rhode Island place I know.
No, we're in Smithfield, Rhode Island. So we're like 15 minutes outside of Providence.
Okay.
So
It's a small state, so that's like
it is a small
right?
state. So we're like one of the suburbs of Providence.
Okay, all right.
So
yeah, and tell us a little bit about that business.
We opened in 2013. We started with a small building. We're Norris CrossFit. The reason why we're named Norris CrossFit is because I originally wanted the name to be NORISC CrossFit, which stood for Northern Rhode Island Strength and Conditioning, which is like the overarching brand. But when I applied for my CrossFit affiliate license, they wouldn't give me it because the RI stood for Rhode Island. And it was like some of the weird ruling that they had at the time. So I said, well, what if I call it NORISK, no risk? And they're like, oh, yeah, that's fine. So we have our Northern Rhode Island Strength and Conditioning, which is the overarching brand. But then we really started with No Risk CrossFit. So one of the dilemmas I'm working with right now is that like we offer so much more than just CrossFit. And so how to incorporate that Northern Rhode Island Strength and Conditioning brand, which we have like our health and wellness for corporate wellness stuff, and then our sports performance wing with the No Risk CrossFit. So that's some of the stuff that like we're dealing with right now, because like we've grown from just offering CrossFit, which is what we started with, especially in the past, since 2017 when it came on full time.
So you have other elements of the business.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a youth sports performance, which we were part of the Parisi Speed School franchise, and then I liked it, but I didn't like it. I didn't see a lot of value in paying the money for the franchise, and I thought we can do just as good a job on our own. So we have a sports performance, which is where I'm really spending a lot of time, my days in there, because I find that really fun. I love working with high school athletes, hence why I was a high school science teacher, and I had a high school rugby program. So I like working with high school athletes. And then we also have a corporate wellness part of the business, which was doing really well, but then COVID hit and all these offices shut down. And there went that business, or that aspect of the business, or that income there. So hopefully, when things normalize again, we'll get some of those contracts back.
Yeah, it's the time. It's the season to be on your toes and move, and duck and change as fast as you can, and make sure you're adjusting to the needs.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Thanks for that little background. And you and I have talked off and on through the few years we've known each other about basically mentoring and business coaching and kind of the what it takes to kind of move up in in business. And
Yeah.
so when did you get started when did you first bring on a coach or a mentor?
So it's funny because for the first 4 years, I owned the business. I was a co-owner and had some business partners. Um, and I was still teaching high school, so I kind of like took care of like the sides of the business I liked, which was the coaching side and then the programming side. And I let the other people do the business stuff. And then I needed to step in because one of the guys was like on this like vacation, and I had to deal with like a lot of the finances, and I ended up just taking that over while I was still working and as a full-time teacher. So I started to try to just like learn more and more and do more and more, and then I'm like, oh crap, I'm way over my head. But I didn't know enough. And then 2017 September, I left teaching, and I came to the gym full time. And when I started really like, now it's no longer a hobby, right? I'm investing all my time into this business, and I'm looking at the books, and I'm like, oh crap, we're not as financially viable as like I was under the impression. And I started
Right.
to really realize that like this is not a hobby. If I was going to make a living with this, I needed help. So um and because here I am, like I've turned into a business person or a business guy more so than I was 4 years ago. But I didn't have any business background. So I started looking online, and I found the 321 Go project. At that time was, they offered this like seminars one day or this week of like free seminars, and they had all these different speakers in. And so I joined the hub, which was their online like community forum, and it had access to like some of their business tools online. So I joined this Facebook group, and I was just like, join that. And I got some cool ideas from that. And then I started looking more into it, and they offered like group business coaching. So, and I really have to say, like, from that first, like, so I sat in on one, and then I was sold. I loved it. And I joined this group. And my first business coach, I think that was like January, right? 3 months after I took over the gym, and it was January 2018. And my first business coach, Jamie Gallagher, like basically saved my business. I don't know if I would have been here had it not been for me taking that step and recognizing that I'm way in over my head and I need help, and to go and seek that help. The beauty of that group was it was like an affordable option for me, to justify the cost, because it was like, it wasn't necessarily all one-on-one. There's nothing one-on-one, it was group stuff. So like, it's just like group personal training or small group personal training. You pay a little bit less, but you don't get as much individualized attention. It was the same type of concept, but I learned so much from him and from the group, and it really helped work me through some really difficult decisions that I had to make at that time. And it basically revolutionized my business and changed like my perspectives. So, and then that summer I had my kids. I couldn't, and that my original group disbanded, and then um, that summer I had my kids, so I took some time off, and then I got back into another one of Jamie's groups later on, and then I've been with that group since. And Jamie's no longer the leader of the group. PJ Menard from CrossFit Tiger is, and like I can't, like, that group has, especially during the COVID shutdowns, like it's just been and it's just been instrumental. Um, it's great because a lot of the people in the group think entirely different than me, and they give different opinions and their viewpoints, and you just hear what everybody else is doing, and it's just solid. Um, but that's that was that one session in terms of business coaching. So but like I just recognized the importance and the value, and then since then I've searched for other avenues as well.
Yeah, I want to get into those other avenues. What were some of the things, like, in hindsight? So, um, you're doing business, and you step into this business coaching, this you know group that you're in, looking back, what are some of the things that you're like, wow, that was bad? And maybe these could be things that people running a business now could look at and say, oh, that they might not be seeing.
So I think one of the first things he told us to do, or that I was forced to do, is read the E-Myth.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized I had no systems in place. So first and foremost, creating systems. That was huge. Having a better grasp of the financial aspects, and making sure that, like, for all expenditures, there was value. At the time, like, I had a business partner who was working for the gym, and there was no value creation, from him as an owner. So especially not to deserve the salary that he was pulling from the business. So, like, that led to, like, some difficult conversations, and changes, which sucked. And, like, without, like, that group's help to, like, help navigate me through those, like, conversations, and almost, like, force me to have those conversations and help me, like, phrase how, like, the talking points in those conversations, that was, like, instrumental.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily tactful. I'm very blunt, and, just trying to, and I say things how they are. So just trying to, like, phrase things so that way it wasn't just like, you suck, get out, type thing, in terms of, like, all right, well, let's be more eloquent, and let's talk about, like, the talking points, and let's talk about, the reasons why, for the business's sake, we need to, like, make changes.
Yeah, that's good. I think a lot of people, business owners, if they stopped and really took a deep dive into, really evaluating their systems, really evaluating their financials, really evaluating the value that the people are bringing in that are on the team, and comparatively to what they're paying, it would be a bleak eye opener.
Right.
Yeah. But you have to have tools. And one thing I really like that you said is that, you're very blunt, and having this group helped you navigate probably how to do that a little better, I would guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm like, that's the science guy, man. Like, I spent 4 years of college, working in a lab, and then, my master's degree, I was in a lab. And then when I was doing some PhD work, I was in a lab, and I hated being in the lab, but I was stuck in the lab all this time. But, like, everything was just so matter of fact. It's like either the facts supported something or the facts didn't. And, like, there's no emotion, and you just report facts. And it's like, I kind of, like, unfortunately, I have that mindset. So when I'm talking about business stuff, I just report facts, and there's no emotion. But, like, everybody else has, like, an emotional connection to things more so,
Yeah.
than, than I would. And so
Give you a little more.
and that's, like, that's me. I accept who I am, but I also know that it's, like, a character flaw. And
Right.
it's good to have, like, people to help you navigate, like, your own strengths and weaknesses.
All right. So you did this 3-2-1, these groups. What were your next steps? I mean, how did you continue to grow? What happened?
So, yeah, so one of the things that I was always, so that was in 2018. And I don't want to say things got stagnant, because, like, that was all throughout 2018. The business started growing. We did really well throughout 2019. And then some of the other things that have happened is that, like, I didn't know of all the resources in Rhode Island, that they have for small businesses. So, like, a lot of states have, like, a lot of, resources that are free or for minimal cost. And, um, one of the things was that, I think it was in May or, um, April of 2019, my girlfriend saw that, the yoga school she goes to, they just finished the owner finished the Goldman Sachs 10K small business program. So, the 10K small business program is a program. It's, throughout the country. It's in certain locations. I think there's, like, 33 locations, and it's free. It's sponsored by Goldman Sachs. They started the program in, like, 2011 to try to make good on, like, them, like, because of the whole, like, financial crisis thing in 2008,
Right.
and the bailout and stuff. So, they have this free mentorship program. So it's like a 3-month curriculum. You meet once a week. And then you're given a business advisor, you have a peer mentor group, and then they have different modules. And the whole thing is for you to come, it's kind of like an MBA program, accelerated MBA program on just your business. And they want you to explore like growth opportunities. So all of last year, from September to December, I was vested in this program. And it was really neat because I was in a group with 8 other business owners. Nobody else owned a gym. It was all different like people. So I got all these different perspectives. And I had a business advisor who met with me once a week to like make sure that I was on track to finish the program and the requirements for the program. But she also gave me her insight into things that were going on with my business. So that was like, it was awesome. So, and then from the program, I also found out all these other avenues for resources in the state that are free. So like right now, there was another mentoring service that I signed up for, and then I applied, I got accepted. So now like once a month I have a meeting with like three mentors. We have a Zoom call now, but like, or we meet in person. It's like an hour and a half meeting. And we just talk about things I want to talk about to like, and opportunities or problems I see and like ways to solve those problems. So, and I'm just getting input. So like the biggest thing is that like I'm doing things which they might not understand my business and I might not necessarily agree with them, but I'm getting different opinions and viewpoints. And my feeling is you can learn from anyone.
Yeah.
Um, so everybody has something to offer. So whether it's a coach or, a book, I used to have a long commute driving to school when I was a teacher. So I listened to books on tape. And so like a lot of the books on tape, like I learned a lot about customer service or the value of good customer service from those, like Tony Hsieh's book, Delivering Happiness. Danny Meyer wrote a book called Setting the Table. Like one's about the restaurant industry, one's about a sneaker company, but like
Yeah.
there was great insight in those from those books that I read.
Yeah. Have you read Excellence Wins by
I
Jorge?
have not.
Oh,
I I'm a chronic like biting off more than I can chew.
yeah.
So middle of August, I decided that I wanted to go for an MBA.
Oh,
And so I found a program, like I applied and got into an MBA program within 2 weeks. So I started my MBA in August 24th
wow.
at the University of Wyoming, um, and online, of course. I'm not commuting to Wyoming. But yeah, so I started that, and but like I have to read a book for that, and the book's like super informative. Like it has made me like start to really take, like I said, like any bit of professional development you can do helps you open your eyes and look at things in a different manner. So like I'm reading this book right now. It's actually awesome. Work Rules.
Okay.
And it's about the hiring practices at Google. It's like written in 2013, but like it's talks about like the culture, hiring process, recruiting process, payroll process, um, like any HR issue that at Google, and super interesting. And because it talks about like how do you motivate employees and like all those, and like even though you can take a lot from this big corporate structure for it to, and like kind of like get ideas of like how to like do things better at like a very small business.
Yeah, I was gonna say just because it's from a corporate doesn't mean it doesn't translate well into a small business. I think a small business owners often think that too small. Like I don't
Right.
need the systems, I don't need the processes, I don't need the skills of hiring and firing because I've got just this small team. Well, it's actually exacerbated by that because
Right.
everything is focused like laser focused from what those people are producing and creating. So
Right. And and just to go like I take ideas from this, and then like we on my business call today, one of the members of my group, like I love it because they offer such a different perspective. And it's like just like dealing with like employees and staff and how to get them to potentially do more. And it's like, all right, well, how can I go about doing that? I'm like, I got information from the book, and then like I got different perspectives from like the members of my business group. And it's like, oh crap, like I love that because like they think entirely different than me,
Right.
and I need that. Like I need that. That's very beneficial to me and my, and the business and stuff.
So you're not only you started with like a gym based coaching type environment, and then you went into professional. I mean, Goldman Sachs, and then it sounds like that really kind of completely opened up a world of all these other opportunities.
Yeah, so the Goldman Sachs was a year ago, but so they have you focus on like a growth opportunity,
Yeah,
and my growth opportunity for Goldman Sachs was crushed by COVID, because my growth opportunity that I worked on with the Goldman Sachs program was corporate wellness.
gotcha.
So, and then like COVID, like I got back in, and then like one of the things that they really preach is that you have to remove yourself. If you want to work on your business, you have to remove yourself from your business in order to do that.
Explain.
So basically, like the program was they forced you out of your business. So like one day a week for 16 weeks, I had to be physically present at a college, a local community college, where all their modules were delivered. And they really said that like if you want to like be successful at your business and work on your business, you have to remove yourself on the business to give yourself the time to create the opportunities for yourself to work on the business. If you're constantly doing the day-to-day grind, you're not working on your business, you're working in your business. So you have to remove yourself to work on your business, which is something that like, a lot of gym owners like coach, they clean, like they do the programming, they do everything, and they're inside their business. So they're working in their business and they're
Yeah,
not necessarily working on their business.
yeah,
And so like the business coaching, like the reading books or any professional development stuff is the time where they're taking themselves out of their business, expanding their knowledge set so that and that, and then they have to make the time to take that expanded knowledge set and apply it. And that's when they're working on their business instead of just working in their business.
right. Yeah. So what have been the best lessons you've learned outside of the gym industry? Like, I think so many people connect with other gym owners just because they speak the same language and have the same problems. Would you say it's more effective outside of the gym industry as far as mentoring goes?
Um, to run a successful gym, having like a in the industry, and I was just talking about this with in my M3 group, my business group today, was that like I really appreciated having people from like an advertising firm, a restaurant, a daycare, a nonprofit,
Wow.
and two roofers, a cabinet company and a roofer listen to my business and offer their insights and advice to me, because they're not in the business. And so like I feel kind of sometimes when like you talk to just gym owners, you're kind of like in an echo chamber,
Right.
because like, it's just that I, I am in a very homogenic environment when I talk to my gym owner friends,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So having, especially they're all CrossFit gym owners, so homogenous, not homogenic. Geez, that's a bad science guy there. I can't even speak. But I'm in this very homogenous environment, right? And to try to get input from people from all different perspectives and walks of life, I thought that was extremely valuable.
Yeah.
And I miss that. And I wish I could have that back. And so and this is why like I'll take any mentoring or any like professional development opportunities that like I see worthwhile, and jump at those opportunities just because like there's always insight and value to be given
Yeah. Yeah.
or gained.
So I know probably the number one objection to all of this. Um, and it's I can't afford to do it
Right.
because good coaching is not cheap. There's just
No.
nor should it be. So what's your response to that?
Um, well, free is affordable, right? So
Right.
I would start um, with going to the Small Business Administration, wherever people are. You know, the SBA has the national programs, but they also have local programs. We have a state agency, Rhode Island Commerce, or the Chamber of Commerce, or the Commerce Department. They have free resources. There's and then there's other nonprofits. I know, like SCORE, is that the one? I think
I've heard of
is
that.
another one.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's tons of free business resources available for business owners. If you can't afford something, I'd start there. I'd start with free, right? Because it doesn't cost you anything except for your time. And it's going to cause you to do two things. It's going to cost you your time, which is going to remove you from your business, which is going to allow you to work on your business.
Right.
And then the other thing is that, like, your chances are you're going to gain some insight from that, or at least make you look at things in a different way.
Right.
The Goldman Sachs program is free. I would Goldman Sachs 10K small business program. Like, Google it, see if there's a location near you. I didn't know that this program even existed, and it's been in the state for like 5 or 6 years.
Yes,
You know,
that's it.
so like that one, you know, see if that's local, because like you get a world of insight from that. And then they have all these alumni events, and they have all these continuing ed resources. So like those are the free things. And then to finding a business coach, you know, like that's a tough one, just because, you know, like I've looked at the ones for like the gym industry, and like I went with the 3, 2, 1, go, just because it wasn't that expensive.
Right.
You know, I know people who've done others, and I get mixed feelings in terms of like the value of the investment. So that's where like I'd always start free, and then do a lot of research in terms of like, you know, like you're not going to make a big purchase without researching it. And you know, you're not going to same thing. Like, you wouldn't just you're not going to like pick a business coach without actually researching it. So like really research it, like really look for feedback. Try, you know, um, do due diligence, especially since it's going to be an investment. But on the other token, business coaching or any professional development, like that's, you know, like that's an investment in yourself, and that's an investment in your business. So
Yeah.
you also have to look at it that way.
Yeah.
But just like everything else, you have to calculate the return on the investment.
Yeah. I've talked with quite a number of people who haven't liked whatever coaching program or business coaching program they stepped into, and they went to another one. And the pattern is there is no pattern. The pattern is that it is probably has a lot more to do with personality and business stage than anything else. So the message here is that some of them you'll hear bad things about them, but it's because the person wasn't right for that program.
Yeah.
And so I think you're right. Like, you're going to be investing money into this. If you're going to step into a business coaching program, you definitely need to do your due diligence. Talk to other gym owners who think like you, who have done them. But don't just lean on one person. Don't just lean on one of these Facebook groups that anybody can say anything on it. I've seen the worst advice, business advice. In fact, someone the other day, this is actually a good topic to move into. Someone the other day said, "Why would you pay for anybody? This is one of the affiliate groups." And I was like, man, if I would have followed half the advice given in these things, I would have failed when I had my business.
Yeah, I don't listen. I'm not on any of the affiliate, like those, any of the main CrossFit affiliate groups with like thousands of members. I stay away from. And I just too much noise. And then we've had discussions even about like, you know, some of the smaller Facebook groups. Like, there's just too much noise, and
Yeah.
there's so many people at different stages that I like, and it's like it's almost a waste of time to navigate through it. That's why like I focus on like small things that I know the people in for advice.
Right. Yeah.
So, but I think that's the biggest need right now is an affordable business coaching option for gym owners. I
Mm,
think, you know, and I really like cohort-based learning.
yeah. Yeah.
For me, that works really well. Instead of just having like, I like, like instead of just having a one person tell me what I should do, I like that cohort peer learning experience, which the Goldman Sachs program was, and which is like the business group that I was involved in was.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think anybody who's leaning on a Facebook group, unless it's like specifically tied to a group or a resource that is directly related to the place you are at in your business.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I don't find,
Warning.
in order to like get on Facebook, I also have to like see other people's stupidity that they're posting, especially these days. And Facebook is just a mental drain of energy. And like, I try to, I don't want to be on Facebook. Like I try to just be on it as minimally as possible. The good old days of like when people just posted like their CrossFit workouts and stats and like pictures of their kids, like those days are like now gone. I yearn for like 2012 Facebook
Yeah, no kidding.
again.
No kidding. No kidding. And if you're going there for advice, for business advice, for life advice,
Oh,
then, yeah, is there good stuff? Yeah, but there's 10 times more bad stuff.
oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. So it sounds like, there are places for people to start that make sense. I mean, if they do their research, if they do um, their due diligence, it sounds like it's possible. Um, so you're now getting your MBA, so you're not stopping. What's your message around like continuing development?
Um, I have this overarching fear of like getting complacent and just stopping growing. So I feel like I'm always preparing for like the next best thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm going for my MBA. Like I was a science guy. I love science. I still love science and I still geek out with science and hence like, like, yeah. So like, but the thing is though, I really enjoy this business development stuff.
Right.
And who's to say where my journey ends? But like, I was just like, all right, well, I own a gym. There's no company, if I ever wanted to get into the business world, that's going to hire me, no matter how successful I am. Like, it's very limited to get a job going from being a gym owner to like the business world with no formal educational background.
Right.
And just, it's even though like I've been there, I've lived it, real world experience doesn't necessarily translate. So I was just looking to get it just to enhance my own like knowledge base about business, like learn things that I might be able to apply to my business now, but also just give me some educational background and like, why not throw a couple more initials after my name? um you know and that was one of the things where like I wasn't going to like overpay for the MBA program. That's why I picked the University of Wyoming, because it was affordable, it was decently ranked, it was online. I didn't have to take the GREs again since like
Thank goodness.
I know.
Yeah.
So they took all my like past like accolades in terms of like grad school, but like it was just one of those things where like I just want to learn more, like, and it was a way to stimulate me to like, one of the problems I'm sometimes fall into bad habits just like anybody else. And I was falling into this like bad habit of like, spending way too much time on my phone or like other energy drains or like, not learning. And it was just a way for me to like find a way to like actively make myself like, want to, not that I don't want to learn, but like actively force me into a learning environment again.
Yeah.
And I love learning environments. Like I'm never, you can't have too much knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good message is that, we shouldn't stop learning and we shouldn't think we've arrived, especially
Right.
in business.
Right.
There's always another step. Nathan and Sean in the last podcast, or not
Hmm.
podcast, webinar, were talking about different stages of business.
Correct.
I think a lot of people are like, well, how do you get there? And you've just basically outlined it. You don't
Right.
stop learning, right?
Right.
And you spend the time doing the deep dive and paying attention to things that you may not be paying attention to on your own if you didn't have someone else pointing you in the right direction. And I think that's another argument against these groups that are free. There's no direction. There's no framework. It's just kind
Right.
of free for all.
Yeah, well, when we say groups that are free, like the business mentors and those
No, I
business
mean like
programs through, but like Facebook groups,
Facebook
like
groups. Yeah.
that, where it's just free advice where anybody can have, like, opinions are a dime a dozen,
Yeah.
like everybody has an opinion and everybody has what worked for them. But like, and this is like the thing is that like, like you can ask everybody for advice. Everybody has their opinion, but like you have to like take a breath in and not, and figure out what works best for you, what works best for your business, what's going to mesh well with you and like your beliefs and goals and values and all that. So,
Right. Very cool.
Just because like I've had people who've offered me advice and it's like our values are totally aligned in different directions, so like if you don't have like that, if you're not getting advice based upon like your values and what what your purpose is, then it's misguided information because it's not going to work for you.
Yeah, that's one thing about those non-group business coaching opportunities is that that if they can align you with a coach who is similar in vision, or at least understands your vision intimately and is focused when they're talking to you, they're talking specifically on that. How does that work with a group? You got a group of 3 or 4 different gym owners or even more.
So these are things I didn't think about when I first signed up. And, now that like I'm a bit more into like the stages and phases of like ownership or being an active gym owner, like values and culture and all that like have to align, but like, it's just, once again, like you get just different perspectives. So like, there's one member of my group who she thinks entirely different than me.
Yeah.
On so many different levels, right? And she's like, it's like she's the complete opposite of like gym owner than I am. And I value her opinion more than, I value everybody's opinion, but like when she always has some insight and it's just like, why didn't I think of that? Well, I didn't think of it because I don't view the world in the same way that she views the world. So like, like I value those opinions, but on the same token, like I know everybody in my group is a really good person, right? And so like their values are all about like, do no harm, like be a good person, like we all share similar mindsets, what actually drives each one of us that varies it differently, but we're all approaching things from like the same, it's not about the money. It's about, it is about the money, but it's not about the money.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
we all want to have successful businesses. We all want to thrive, but we also want to like be really good people and like make the experience for our members as best as possible and provide balance in each of our lives.
Yeah.
With like with work and, like owning the gym and like everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Judah, thank you so much for
my pleasure.
Sharing all this really good stuff. I think if people would stop, take a self-evaluation and follow these directions, they would save themselves years of, suffering through business where they don't need to. And I really appreciate you bringing that to the forefront. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to this episode of the Legion Chalk Talk podcast. And make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you are interested in Level Method, please check us out, www.levelmethod.com, or you can email me directly at scott@levelmethod.com. We will fill you in on this incredible resource that we have. And if you're looking for information on Judah, we'll put it in the show notes so you can reach out to him. It's No Risk CrossFit in Rhode Island. And have a great day.